endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Let me tell you a little bit about one of our great sponsors, HomeGain.com. This is the place to get you started buying or selling a home, finding a realtor, and getting any real estate questions answered. Go to HomeGain.com and see what I'm talking about. All you need to do is type in your home address, and you will get an instant free estimate of your home's value online. This is a great way to be able to monitor the value of your home. And again, it's absolutely free. There are tons of tools to help you. For instance, if you want to remodel your home, go to HomeGain.com. Use their Home Sale Maximizer to help you determine which home improvements can most increase your home's value before you put it on the market. For 10 years, these folks have been helping home sellers and buyers. Visit their link at Infowars.com. Look for Max, the orange Home Gain Gorilla, to help you with any real estate needs you might have. You'll love this site. It's HomeGain.com. HomeGain.com. Check them out today. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance, rallying patriots worldwide. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
These powerful mega central banks create the thousands of trillions of dollars in derivatives crud. They get the populations dependent. They get incredible power on the way up. On the way down, they hold you hostage and demand bailouts. I want to talk about how we individually protect ourselves in Porter Stanberry's very highly researched and educated view. But also, again, to make precise, daily predictions are impossible. But generally, why he stuck his neck out to say 2011 is the year for the dollar implosion as the world reserve currency. So I want you to get into that next, Porter. And again, the website's endofamerica3.com. Barron's has called his previous predictions a dire prophecy because they came true. He predicted years before it happened that GM would go bankrupt, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties, and others. And now he's making a much more larger prediction of just, and since he's been making this prediction, you see it accelerating towards it. But finishing up with your General Electric analysis.
Well, General Electric is a great example of the problems in the country. For the last 10 years, I was talking a lot about General Motors, which I thought exemplified these problems because General Motors was a very big player in the mortgage market, especially the prime mortgage market. When it comes to GE, I think they're a great example of the overall problems of the economy, which is essentially this business model is vastly over-leveraged. So if you look at their balance sheet, they owe more than $600 billion. They're spending about $20 billion a year right now on interest. That's eating up, a vast majority of their cash flow. And if interest rates go up, they will not be able to afford the interest on those debts. Frankly, General Electric should have gone bankrupt back in 2008. The only reason why they didn't was because the government guaranteed all of their debts. That guarantee is going to expire in 2011. It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not General Electric can afford the increasing costs of maintaining that amount of debt. The same general problem is happening across the economy, and the same general problem is bound to happen sooner or later to the U.S. government itself. You remember Geithner said that America would never, never, ever lose this AAA rating. I bet within 12 months that is no longer the case.
Well, the Chinese, British firms, European firms have been delisting the AAA rating in the last 3 months.
Yeah, it was listening to Geithner say that was the equivalent of listening to the Brazilian finance minister 20 years ago saying that the real would not be devalued. As soon as you heard him say it, you knew it was exactly what was going to happen the next day. And I know currency traders have made a lot of money just listening for Treasury Secretary to say such foolish things. The problem now is that it's our Treasury Secretary, it's our currency, and not only is it our currency, it's the world's currency. So this is going to be a much larger problem than just a simple devaluation of an emerging market.
Well, remember Geithner earlier this year told the Chinese economic students that we're not going to devalue the dollar. They knew that the United States was devaluing it globally at the time, so they laughed at him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's what Alex. The thing that boggles my mind about all this is if you listen to the video, and I know you have, just find something in there that isn't actually a fact or isn't actually just logic. If General Electric can't afford to maintain a $600 billion debt, it will have to go bankrupt. That's really bad news for our economy, and I wish it wasn't true. But guess what? Everyone has access to General Electric's balance sheet. It's a public company. You can go look at the numbers yourself. And explain to me how a company that's one of the largest in the United States, one of the largest in the world, explain to me how that company can operate in a way that's effective if the government of the United States has to guarantee its debt. Doesn't anyone see that this is a problem?
Well, let's talk about it from this angle. How do you see it unraveling? What do you see government's response to it being? And obviously we can try to protect ourselves individually if we see it ahead of the curve, and that's what your video deals with at endofamerica3.com. Again, that's endofamerica3.com, Porter. But I mean, that's a lot of questions there, but just basically, how do you see it unraveling? It's already beginning to do it and accelerate that. What will government's response be from what we've seen them do around the world? What can we do individually? And is there any way to stop this on the large scale?
Alex, the second question I think is more interesting because the fact of the matter is it's already unraveling, and the way to protect yourself is really pretty simple. I go into details in the video, but it's real simple. You want to own energy, agriculture, and sound money. So you want to own, a farm would be great, or the equivalent. There's a lot of publicly listed farms. You can buy the stock of a farm. You want to own energy, that mostly means oil, and you want to own sound money, and that mostly means gold and silver. The how-to stuff is actually pretty simple. Unfortunately, my experience has been people won't take simple steps to protect themselves because they can't imagine the future changing as much as it's going to. I mean, you have to imagine. You have no idea how many times I got ridiculed, heckled at investment conferences when I warned that, Fannie and Freddie's balance sheet was unsustainable. And the numbers were clear to everybody, but no one could imagine a world where Fannie and Freddie became, bankrupt. And that's exactly what happened. The second question is there a way to stop it? And the answer is, of course there is. But the alternatives to stopping it are very painful. So we have two choices. We can either admit the problem and we can force our creditors to take a haircut, and that means essentially a form of bankruptcy and restructuring that would be very painful to our economy. There's no doubt about it. Or we can risk a hyperinflation by printing more money and allowing deadbeat borrowers to escape with a devalued currency. And the number two choice, the devaluation, is the political choice because the politicians will blame higher prices on entrepreneurs and businessmen. They won't accept the blame.
And they will loot within the hyperinflation because they get the money first. We need to go with the haircut and write off most of these debts that the banks created as derivatives. Do you agree with that statement?
It's real simple. If you go with the restructuring, the people who made the bad loans, they pay the price.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't, it's going to be the people who have been have had integrity and have lived with discipline.
That's right. I bet on gold and silver. I bet on a farm. I've got a family farm. I bet on that 12 years ago. I've been right. I shouldn't have to pay all these international bankers by destroying, my currency and my future.
You're exactly right. And guess what? You're not going to get that choice because, believe me, they're going to make you pay through the nose. They're going to make you pay in ways you haven't even imagined yet.
They're now announcing rainwater taxes, traveling transponders in all cars, national sales taxes, VATs, carbon taxes. What are some of the other ways they're going to rape us?
Well, the big thing that they're going to do, and it's already on the books, it takes effect January 1st, 2013, is they're going to put a withholding tax on all money transfers that leave the United States. So they're going to make you pay a 30% withholding tax to move money to a bank outside the country. And if you want your money back, you have to file a claim, a tax return that shows that that money is not owed to the government.
Incredible.
It's incredible, and the only way really to even begin to pay for our debts is some kind of a massive wealth tax. So they're gonna they're already making you record if you buy gold or silver. They're gonna have that information somewhere. They're setting up to have the ability to tax not just your income but your assets.
But people are already revolting. I don't see them getting away with this, no matter how many neighborhood snitches they've got, and no matter how much brainwashing. I don't think people are going to put up with it.
I hope you're right, Alex, but I don't think so. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But you don't have to catch everybody to terrorize the whole country.
Look, there's no doubt when they got rid of Glass-Steagall 11 years ago, they accelerated setting up the snitch networks and the oppression. I mean, they premeditated this whole thing, and it's so diabolical.
Well, I don't know how organized they are in that regard, but certainly if you look at the incentives that they have been setting up, they have been structuring our economy to benefit the largest corporations in the government itself, and there is no doubt in my mind that that's going to continue.
It's outrageous, and now they're trying to pass laws to restrict family farms and trucking your own vegetables into town and selling them. I mean, this is becoming the Soviet Union. How do you, as you said, it's already really starting to move faster and faster. It's already rolling. But when do you, and I know you're not making an exact prediction here, but when do you see the real danger zones in the United States and worldwide for the final meltdown? We already see the Chinese and Russians 2 weeks ago announcing, hey, we're not going to trade with each other in dollars anymore. We see the Arabs moving that way. We see worldwide people not wanting dollars. So we already see the greenback going from king to being, almost like some type of toxic waste. So how do you see that move towards the exits accelerating? And will it be like other devaluations that, where people inside Mexico don't really know how devalued their dollar is or their peso until they leave the country? Or will this be different because it's the first global devaluation because it was all pegged to the dollar? And what will that cause worldwide?
Well, the question I would ask you in return is, people ask me this, well, when is it all going to start? The question I ask you in return is, what's it going to take for you to notice it's happening? How big does America's annual budget deficit have to get before you begin to question the solvency of the government? How much total debt can the economy hold before you begin to question whether or not it can be repaid? How high do the price of gold and silver have to go before you realize that something is already happening? How many new rules and restrictions on trade and capital and finance will have to be implemented before you finally realize that you're screwed?
Yeah, savers tend to just stick their money in an account and wait for something to happen, and then they can incrementally be fleeced. Well, I've got all these mainstream news articles, Porter, and I've been pointing this out for years. Now even Glenn Beck is doing it, did it last week. The military now admits they're preparing to suppress uprisings, and they have role players that scream, I'm an American, no, not the camp. They're already practicing taking over farms and nationalizing them. They're already acclimating everyone, and suddenly there's like checkpoints with cops and weird RVs with American flags flying with cops cameras. They're putting telescreens in 9,000 retail stores with Homeland Security saying, watch your neighbor. And I have the Homeland Security press release right here. It's like they're trying to recreate the fictional 1984. So clearly the government knows what it's done, and so there's no doubt. I mean, there's literally, they're just acclimating us to a soft form of martial law with troops and paramilitary just scurrying around everywhere, getting ready. And I guess the troops and military have been brainwashed. They're going to go along with the total takedown of the republic from first world to third world.
Well, I think that you said it all when you first said the words homeland security. I mean, since when was America an empire that needed homeland security? I mean, where are we living? And these processes have gone on for a long time. The country's been going this way for a very, very long time. And I can't tell you about the social aspects of it, and I'm not really an expert in regards to the political aspects of it, but I am very, very confident that my analysis in regards to the economics of it is right. You can make